I pressed it. It's recording.
Hey,
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Trying to Be Better with Joel and Steve podcast, brought to you today by LaCroix Coconut Cola.
And
Everybody
LaCroix
else think
Limoncello.
Limoncello, and our guest has a bubbly. Everybody thinks I'm a big fan of this coconut cola. Most people that try it thinks it tastes like booty sweat. I think it tastes like
Booty sweat.
Coconut cola. It's bitter. It tastes kind of like medicine. That's what I'm into.
Does it taste like echinacea?
No, it tastes like the floor of a head shop.
Oh, so like echinacea
and
and
patchouli I'm wearing too, but it's this mix of it's kind of my favorite thing. We have a fantastic guest tonight.
We do.
We're so excited. Before we get to our amazing guest, Steve, do we have any housekeeping?
Well, find us on Instagram at Trying to Be Better Podcast, and subscribe and like, and email us at ttbbpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
Yes, please
and
do that.
Buy the merch, and look out.
We don't have merch.
Look out, buy the merch,
or
just start talking up the merch so that we can have some demand to make some.
Yeah,
and then also be on the lookout for tour dates.
Oh, we're gonna take this show on the fucking road.
We're gonna take the show on the road to city parks and coffee shops near you.
I am so excited.
Oh, by the way, I'm gonna be buying a mixing board sometime then. Okay, here we go. Oh, hey, that was our guest tonight.
Yes.
Do you want to do the intro? I'll do the intros.
Do you do the intro?
You usually intro. Whatever.
I know.
Tonight's guest is my lovely wife, Hollie Urbauer. Say hi to the people, Hollie.
Hi, people.
Yay! There's confetti cannons going off.
Thank you. I'm really glad to be here. Although I got to say, now I'm a little. I wonder if I should have waited for the road show, to make.
Well, you can always.
Hey,
but see, but this will be even better because you'll be on this, and then we can bring you out as a returning champion.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, that road show, Steve and I sitting in a park with a card table staring at birds may not be that interesting. We may get distracted a lot, so now we can just focus on you.
Nice.
Sure.
Okay.
Right.
I like it.
Not that we could ever be distracted from you.
Oh, well.
Thank you so much for being here, Hollie. Hollie is an amazing person all around. She happens to also be the partner of my best friend in the whole wide world, Steve. She's an amazing mother. She's an amazing woman in recovery. She is also a really badass therapist. And so there's so much to talk about. Also, Hollie is a lover of live music, and there's a lot of news in the live music world happening just over in the last couple of days, like tour dates.
Opening, baby.
Yes.
Yeah, one of your favorite bands that we've seen together, Avett Brothers, is coming to the Pinewood Bowl with Willie Nelson.
Did you get tickets?
I got tickets.
Oh, good.
Sweet, we
so
did
did
too.
we.
Yep.
Yes. Very excited.
So
that'll be fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get to go see Uncle Willie again.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Have you ever seen Willie? Have you actually seen
Willie?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And his wild sense of rhythm.
Yeah, right. Which he's giving even less fucks as time goes on.
Right.
Yeah, so it's weird because the Avett Brothers, they're almost a stomp and shout, kind of band. I wonder if they'll meld.
I doubt it. I think they'll play separately. Maybe Willie will come out for a song or something, but
right.
I saw Willie when I was a kid at the state fair, and it was ripping. Like I distinctly still to this day, I was maybe 12 or something, but I remember Whiskey River and thinking whoa, like it was rock and roll. Like it was, dude. He was tearing it up. Like it was a throwdown, hoedown, rootin' tootin', it was really something, and today it's a little more laid back.
It's a little more laid back. But it's still great.
Well, I could listen to Willie sing "Crazy" by Patsy Cline.
Oh,
actually,
God.
Did he write that? Anyway, whatever. I could listen to him sing that, and "The Nightlife Ain't a Good Life, but It's My Life." I could listen to him sing that all night long.
All night long. Yep. So that'll be fun. It's always fun to go to shows with Hollie. Hollie loves to rock and roll.
Yes.
What was your first? I mean, I know we're going to talk about your amazing professional career and all the cool things you do, but maybe I'm skipping ahead to the end. But what was your first concert, Hollie?
Oh, I think.
Was it Hanson?
No, it might be worse.
Oh no, it was the twins, Nelson.
Hey, that's not worse.
Hey, be
I
nice to our
received something
guest.
today. I think
Oh,
it
they have
might
your
have been.
laminate?
It might have been New Kids on the Block. Might have
Oh,
been.
Yes.
I know. Followed closely by MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice. Yes.
see,
That's an amazing.
I love you,
there.
but
I know. I would not probably see those people today.
Dude, I would totally see.
I might go
didn't
see
they-
MC Hammer.
I might see MC Hammer. I might go see New Kids on the Block. Didn't they tour recently though?
They did
I think
actually.
they
They
did.
they
Like-
did.
Yeah, that might be fun for the nostalgia.
Sure.
I'll never forget. One time I was like sick with the flu, and my mom came home. My brother and my mom came home from Walmart with the cassette single for "Hangin' Tough."
Ugh.
And I remember
That was
really
supposed to
loving
make you
that.
feel better.
Ugh.
It
A
worked.
single?
It was
My
fun,
f-
though.
my fifth grade. I was in fifth grade. It was
Okay,
awesome.
fine.
See,
Okay,
I was
fine.
in junior high, but the other day, like our girls are
There's our
watching
generation gap.
this band called BTS.
Yeah,
So
a
now
lot
I
of
listen
BTS
to a lot of
in our
BTS,
house.
but I was real excited because I'm like, oh, it's a boy band. And I was telling them about the boy bands from back in the day and thought, oh, I got to play you these videos of them dancing. And it was so awesome. It was not so
It
awesome.
was not awesome.
BTS can dance.
Yeah,
And then I-
BTS
They can-
actually for the boy band thing,
Yeah.
they're pretty impressive.
and then I pulled up these
They're
old
amazing.
videos and I thought, oh, this is not the same. But I
Yeah.
still appreciate it.
Sure.
But there
I actually
wouldn't
kind of
be-
enjoy BTS.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be BTS without New Kids on the
Totally
Block
agree.
and
Yes.
In Sync.
Yes.
So
Right.
Yeah.
Nelson, well, so MC Hammer
Yeah,
and
and
New Kids on the
Hammer, Vanilla
Block.
Ice. And then when we were 15, I remember seeing, I think that was the first time I went to Ranch Bowl because growing up in Omaha, we didn't have Ranch Bowl.
Holly's parents used to take them to the Ranch Hole in Omaha. The Ranch Bowl. I say that with affection, but like as teenagers, my parents
Right.
never would have done that.
But the first
would you
time
say-
we went, well, that was for Ugly Kid Joe. And the first time we went, my mom and then my best friend Karen, her mom went and checked out Ranch Bowl before they took us there. So
And they still
went
let 'em go.
in,
That's
you, like, talked
amazing.
to the people.
It's a bowling alley. It's a
And
nice
after the
bowling
show,
alley.
It's a bowling alley.
Then we got on the tour bus, of course, and we're getting
We're on
things
the bus.
signed, and then we see my dad like walking around out there, and I'm like, don't tell my dad to leave. But it was,
Dad, you're embarrassing us while we're on the tour
Yeah.
bus.
it
With
was
leather.
a good time.
I've only seen one show at the Ranch Bowl, and I'm really glad I did. But me and my buddy in high school drove from Ord all the way to Omaha to the Ranch Bowl to see Seven Mary 3.
Okay.
You remember? Yeah, and we got there so early. We're like, well, let's go bowl a few lanes. So we're bowling. We're sitting there bowling, drinking our Diet Cokes or whatever, a Mountain Dew probably. And then these guys come and start bowling next to us, and we're like, I think that's the band. And it was the band. So we just like bowled 2 or 3 lanes with Seven Mary 3. That was my big claim. I was
Nice.
But
Still
that was
so
the
different.
awesomeness of the Ranch Bowl is like
Yes.
stuff like that happened, and
stuff like that.
we used to
Yeah,
see
what happened at the
311
Ranch
quite a
Bowl
bit
stayed at the
because
Ranch Bowl.
yeah, exactly. But because they were, our local band back in the day. Because
Right.
when I was in high school, they were
Yep.
just a band from Omaha before they.
Yeah, dude.
Blew up. I saw
So-
one of the best shows I've ever seen was Fishbone at the Ranch Bowl.
Mm.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
That
was
would have been
ridiculous.
amazing.
It was amazing. Anyway,
Dude.
sorry, you were going to say something. I digressed.
I was going to launch into questions about Holly. Like we could talk
Do it.
concerts, and we should get
Sure.
back to concerts at some point
Yes,
because there's a
we
lot of
should.
concerts happening all of a sudden, which is very exciting.
Yes.
But I was just going to launch in. So Holly, what is it that you say you do here? That's like my favorite Office Space quote. So you're a therapist
Yes.
and you have your own practice.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go all the way back, but I don't know
Yes.
that you want to give your life story, but
No.
um, you started a private practice
Yes.
and then the pandemic happened.
Yes.
like literally basically the next
Yes,
week.
like and I'll give you the nutshell version, kind of. I'm a duly licensed therapist, so I'm licensed alcohol and drug counselor and licensed independent mental health practitioner. I started working in the field in 2005 as a drug and alcohol counselor. I worked at residential facilities for substance abuse treatment. Fast forward, grad school, mental health, licensure, all that stuff, and basically finished my licensure needed for finished my hours needed for independent licensure. Thank the Lord, like right before the world closed, like literally weeks. So there was that. Yeah, I never thought I'd go into private practice. I love agency work. I'm a people person. I love like the camaraderie and consultation and support and all of that kind of stuff you get with agencies. And then like January of, last year, it just kind of hit me like, I'm just going to go into private practice. And I didn't just was going to do it myself, like not join a practice. So kind of started getting the ball rolling on that, got my office, got furniture, got my license stuff taken care of. And then, COVID. So I literally have not seen anyone, and I have done some private practice as an independent contractor prior to this, but in my brand new office with my business that's called Sanctuary Psychotherapy and Wellness, LLC, at all. I have not seen a person in person. I've seen people.
What is the name of your practice again? So we get it.
Sanctuary Psychotherapy and Wellness, LLC.
Awesome.
So
you rented a space. You had a space ready to go, and it was all set up.
Yeah.
And then the world shut down, and you still have the space.
I do. I love my little office. Luckily, rent is reasonable, and I will keep it and hope to see people in it soon. But telehealth has been a really great blessing too, because I've been able to work, and also people get service. Like people are able to be helped too, not just by me, but by tons of other therapists. And there's been cool stuff too, like people I work with in a referral network who, like different substance abuse agencies in more rural parts of the state, that send people home to areas that might not have as many, like aftercare outpatient therapists. So I can see people as long as they're in the state of Nebraska, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
Even in like North Platte?
Even there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
I know.
Even North Platte counts. I love North Platte. So I think it's really cool to have you on, especially right now because it's Mental Health Awareness Month, correct? In the month of May.
Yes.
And so I think it's really important to talk about these things. I mean, I have a therapist that I see every other week, and we've only met over telehealth, and it's been incredible. I had a moment today. I was talking to him. I'm like, it doesn't, I was like, I guess I could go see him in person. I bet he'd be okay with that, but I'm so comfortable on my own couch. I don't want to lay on his couch. You know what I mean? So it's been really great, but and maybe I'm jumping off the deep end, but I'm curious to know, like, in your work as a new therapist practicing on your own, what has COVID been like in terms of the sort of things that you see sort of your average client walking through, that we've all been walking through? Of those, has the isolation, anxiety, that sort of stuff made people more open to talk about stuff, or has it been difficult to navigate? I'm curious.
That's interesting. And I've heard varied views on it too from other therapists that I talk with. And I've really seen both sides of the spectrum, because on the one hand, people are very isolated. But then on the other hand, people who have anxiety, social anxiety, that kind of thing, have been pretty protected. Or people that have family of origin issues or don't want to see certain people in their life. COVID's a great excuse. Like, well, I can't go because COVID. So it's really been kind of on both sides. And then a lot of just fear about, especially the beginning, before really we knew that masks work and there are kind of protective measures we can take, of really what's going to happen and that kind of thing. So it's definitely been kind of a cloud hanging over everything for probably a large percentage of people that I work with.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen, I don't want to dominate the conversation, but I'm very curious too, like, because we talked to Jeremy Eberly a few weeks ago. We talked about addiction, and I think we talked about it in a more general way, and you have experience working, with addiction. Have you seen certain addictions on the rise more? I guess maybe you don't have a lot compared to
feel specific, but you're not so much dealing with addiction right now, right?
Yeah, it kind of depends. I work with some people, like as a referral source, that refer people to me straight from treatment. So I do have, and plus being duly licensed there, that's kind of a specific area. So many times when people seek me out, it is for that there's some degree of substance use or abuse. I can't say that I've noticed that on the rise, but I think I've heard that kind of overall, but without looking at sources, I think it's, I don't know. I can tell you though, that with recovery, that's been difficult. And, we all know that what Zoom meetings are like and all that. And as someone that had a base established prior to COVID, I know it feels like still Zooming into a room of friends, and many people very much don't get that. So with people that I have that would really benefit from, some sort of meeting, that's difficult, because it's like, well, there's no meeting after the meeting on Zoom,
right?
Or at least not like there is in person. So that's a barrier. And you guys know with addiction, there's so much. I mean, there's a lot of people that want to get sober and jump in and they're willing to go to any lengths. There are also a lot of people that are not. And that, so with barriers, that's a big one. That's a kind of just right there, like, well, it doesn't do it for me.
Right.
So that's kind of a bummer, but some people then have the opposite experience. There's always exceptions. So
I say for the people that are phobic of like walking into a room full of strangers,
then it's been helpful.
Like it's real easy just to look at the Hollywood squares.
Right. Or not, or just turn the video off. And just kind of be there.
And so I have seen both, but it's interesting.
But that's real though. That's the thing that I've thought of over the last year is that when I was newly sober, I definitely was the recipient of people saying, "You're coming with us."
Right.
Yeah.
Like, where are we going? What does it matter? We're gonna go get coffee or whatever. It's like
get in the car.
We're
gonna buy you coffee. Shut up and get in the car.
And or like we're gonna go to this thing or whatever.
You
new crazy new guy, get in the car.
You look crazy. Want to come with us?
No, even better, get in the car. And that's hasn't been a thing. So I have had some empathy for that. Like that does kind of suck that people miss out on that. Like the trips to Village Inn and the card games and the whatever,
Right, the birthday parties and stuff.
So that's and to somebody that's new in sobriety that's thinking about maybe doing that, thinking, oh God, Village Inn and card games.
You don't know until you
actually
The folks that are new in recovery that have only been doing it virtually are going to have a rude awakening for how much social crap we do.
There's so much social crap they're going to have to endure.
And all the like tears and hugs, they're gonna be like, oh, these people really do love each other. They weren't just lying on Zoom.
Right.
I mean, and back to the your work in the pandemic too. I'm curious, Hollie, like once the data comes in, what you clinicians actually see, like because I think a lot of people had said that, you've heard that thrown around, like the pandemic's really hard and suicide rates may be up or depression and anxiety are up, but you don't really know that until after the fact clinically, right? So like,
and I like.
Are there any journals or publications that are starting to make any of that data? Because it's been a year.
There has to be, and I think, I don't know because I haven't looked into it. I will definitely though because I want to, because as you know, probably with everything else with the pandemic, you can very much find both sides, which can be frustrating because even as someone who's kind of navigating kids in school, when you see all the articles about masks are hurting kids' mental health and for some kids that's probably true. For all kids that is not true. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think there's so much divide there that it's really difficult to find. So I'm waiting for those peer-reviewed sources and studies and things that because it'll come out and I don't know at that point will it matter? I don't know, but I'm curious.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it should also be said that the pandemic hasn't been the only thing going on in 2020 that's made things difficult.
And and even when you look at, for example, domestic violence, and potentially like abuse in the home in a variety of ways, when a bunch of people are stuck in a home together, it's likely those rates are going to increase, So is that, the caused by COVID? I don't know, but that would affect statistics if that stuff's being looked at, that kind of thing. So I do know that I'm busy and many other therapists that I communicate with are busy. So there's definitely a need.
And here's the thing that I feel needs to be mentioned is that we, like, despite all of and I'm gesturing broadly here, all the things that went on in the last year and a half ish, 2020 was really great for us as a family. Like I got a promotion, got a good job. Hollie's business, which at the first was like, oh my God, this is awful, turned out has not been awful at all.
Right.
And so like that, so we're incredibly it's been really great. On paper.
Right.
And we have done well, which is, a lot of people have really struggled through this. And and like for whatever reason, that hasn't been our story. So it's it's been kind of this weird I don't know, success story
Mhm.
out of circumstances that you would think maybe that wouldn't be the case.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so I have tried to be cognizant of that
Mm-hmm.
and actually practice gratitude on a level that maybe I haven't previously.
Mhm.
Does that make
Mhm.
sense? Am
Oh, yeah.
I making sense?
Mhm.
Yeah, totally.
Just because it's
Yeah.
like every day I think, I read the news today, oh boy,
Right.
and have I wouldn't say for once in my life, but like been able to say, like it's not applying.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
it doesn't apply to like our house,
yeah.
which is it's kind of surreal actually.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, I'm incredibly grateful.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I lost my point.
No, I think you're just expressing the fact that, like,
Yeah.
you know, Holly started a business, you got a promotion in what could have easily
He's-
been a really
Right.
tumultuous time. And then like Holly so eloquently put, like, it's kind of a make or break deal. Like, families like Kirsten and I, as far as our relationship goes, thrived. And she even mentioned something the other day. It was like, man, things are coming back and there's going to be less time. And it's like, well, I told her that. I said, you know, we can still remember what it's like to what it was like to huddle together when the world was falling apart, you know,
Yeah.
or spend time together by engaging in our community. Because, you know, the situations that you mentioned earlier, Holly, the pandemic and financial collapse almost, and civic unrest and political despots, you know, saying to inject bleach into their veins to
Yeah.
cure a disease, or, you
Yeah.
know, Black Lives Matter protests, you
Yeah.
know, screaming on the streets for justice. It's been a tumultuous year. And I think that it's important that months like May are treated not just as a perfunctory thing with a hashtag, but we start talking about how important it is to take care of our mental health.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, are you
Yeah.
seeing, is the influx of that? I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
you know, it's easier to go to a therapist or online maybe,
Right.
but also, like, is the stigma hasn't gone down at all, has it, or has it, do you think?
No, I think for one, I mean, you know, social media is such a double-edged sword, but I think that there's been some good work kind of in that arena. I think that, and also with celebrities, you know, talking more about recovery, talking more about mental health. So there's a lot of things that can happen. I think education, you know, I know Sadie was on here, talked about community involvement and stuff too. And
Right.
the more people talk about it, I mean, that's the thing. And I think, you know, you've heard the term toxic positivity. That's something kind of that's out there now too. And just that idea of, and also to combat that, you know, the idea of like, it's okay to not be okay. And, you know, that's the thing too, you know, since I'm on here with your millions of listeners, that
Millions.
to say, I know.
Thank you.
Yeah,
millions.
that to seek therapy, and that so many people can benefit from it. The other thing, I talked about substance abuse, but I specialize in trauma, so I see all sorts of people that deal with trauma. I'm a certified clinical trauma professional, so I have additional training in trauma. I'm trained in brain spotting and EMDR, which is probably my all-time favorite modality. But people seek therapy for all sorts of reasons, even like lifestyle stuff, or codependency, or boundaries, or family of origin, and obviously then the big ones, you know, significant trauma, dissociative identity disorder, whatever, you know, bipolar disorder, anxiety, depression, all the stuff. But just that there doesn't need to be some big, huge, horrible thing that happens, you know, and that so many people can benefit from that. And it doesn't have to be a commitment of 10 years, but just to, you know, if you're thinking that you need some help working through some stuff, to do it, because it can change things.
When we had Charlie on a few weeks ago, Charlie Shanka, he talked about some pretty significant events, some mental health events, and he was so open and vulnerable. And we sort of drove right by it because we were talking about all things Charlie, but he mentioned doing some of those treatments, or those EMDR that you mentioned. Can you talk? I don't know. Can you talk a little bit more about that, and like what that is, and how that might be beneficial to somebody who may have experienced trauma as a child or even recently?
Yeah, with EMDR, it's called EMDR, eye movement desensitization or reprocessing. And it started, a woman named Francine Shapiro was the one who created this. And she was, I won't get this totally correct, but it was walking basically and noticed herself processing, and her eyes, noticed her eyes were kind of moving back and forth. Like she noticed that. That's funny because notice that is actually like an EMDR catchphrase, but anyway. So the basis of it is bilateral stimulation. And it literally started with the therapist holding fingers and moving back and forth, and you would follow the fingers. When I'm in an office with someone, I use tactile pulsers, and they hold them and they just vibrate back and forth and they can close their eyes. I'm doing it via telehealth. Results seem to be the same. And I'm using a program called remote EMDR, and basically it's dots that bounce across the bottom of the screen. So people just watch the dots, or if that's too distracting, they can close their eyes and I play a sound and they can tap along with the sound for the bilateral stimulation.
Oh, wow.
But the idea is that when trauma is experienced, I feel like I need to segue or tangent and also say that, trauma is different for different people. Two people can have the same experience, and one person can develop PTSD or post-traumatic stress symptoms. One person might not. I always tell people that you are the expert on you. Like if you're experiencing symptoms, it's affecting functioning, it's causing distress in your day-to-day life, that's worth exploring. If you've experienced something, even if some people might think it's like horrific, but really it's not causing you distress, okay, then that's okay. Like it's not my place to tell someone what they need to work on. So when someone experiences a trauma, it's stored in fragmented ways in the memory. It's not just neatly put in a little folder or whatever, like in the.
Wouldn't that be nice? It's like
inside out.
Inside out.
Trauma in this box, and I'll get to that and deal with that appropriately when it's appropriate.
Yes, but it's fragmented, so it's stored in this fragmented way in the memory, and then. So then later in life, when a trigger or something, that's kind of a overused word lately, but happens, you're going to react or respond, whether it be fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, when you're not inherently in danger.
Hold on, what's fawn?
Fawn is like kind of making everything okay, people pleasing, like fixing.
I don't know what that. I've never done anything like that. I'm joking.
So. With the and I use the example a lot about like if you were attacked at Hy-Vee, for example, right? Like you were attacked at Hy-Vee. Then
that's what I think about that every time I'm in Hy-Vee. Why did you say that, Holly?
I don't know. And now maybe that's not a good example now with grocery stores that's happening. But what my point is that like the Hy-Vee is not inherently dangerous. Most people should be able to walk into a Hy-Vee and pretty much know that they're probably going to be okay. But if there was a trauma that happened like that, their disturbance level would go way up. They would react in one of those ways, and then it would affect functioning. Okay, so with the EMDR therapy, it moves from the maladaptive to the adaptive, and through the process, the memory is kind of, it's processed, and then it's really kind of assimilated as it should be, and stored in a different way. So the past can't be changed. It's still there. There might even be like awareness of like sadness or something like that when you think about it, but it's not going to have the same effect. It's not going to cause nightmares or cause panic attacks or cause inability to leave the house or cause, huge anxiety when you see someone wearing a shirt, the person that assaulted you or whatever, these ways that it seeps into people's lives. And we can also use it with different other things, like anxiety or even resource building. The one thing I'll say for any listener who's contemplating EMDR therapy is there is a protocol and there is also preparation. So if someone comes to me, and a lot of people seek me out specifically for EMDR, I won't do it in session number one. There is a process. There is gathering history, getting to know someone. Well, you never know with people out there. So I always like to tell people that. To really go through this process of kind of setting it up. EMDR therapy is not just the bilateral stimulation. So kind of walking through that and then doing some stabilization exercises. I know I'm
no, I was just thinking, I was thinking, no, you're good. This is great. But I was just chuckling like, in a strip mall, like, I can't believe it's EMDR. Where you just walk in and they, give you some paddles and like, okay.
Right.
Well, that's how I was like, I totally get that though. Of like, all right, I'm here. I'm paying you X amount of dollars.
Right.
Let's get to
where are the paddles?
Wave the watch. Give me the dots.
The bilateral thing.
But I tell people like that's not the first treatment plan. There's usually something else before then. because stabilization is key. And I mentioned brain spotting, which is something I've recently been trained in, which is also another awesome modality. It's not like my area of expertise at this point, but there's not as much around it with regard to kind of leading in and then ending. But with EMDR, I always tell people, like we're not jumping into that right away. We want to stabilize, want to have people be able to emotionally regulate and obviously have not be in a really, in an active domestic violence situation, in active addiction, those kinds of things. So just kind of have someone not be self-harming, not have significant suicide ideation, just be really stable before that process begins.
That's fascinating stuff, though. I mean, I think that the idea of the actual practice of EMDR is kind of interesting and sexy to think about, but at the same time, it's like you're providing like all therapy should be, you're providing a safe environment for folks to walk through that stuff, with a professional. And I guess the PSA is if you're experiencing trauma or you're experiencing work stress, or you're experiencing codependency or just, general malaise.
Right.
And you can afford it. I mean, I guess that's maybe, I don't want to dominate the question, but I'm fascinated by this because I've recently really engaged with, a healthy ongoing therapeutic practice. What, I mean, because I've talked to people that are like, man, I'd love to go to therapy, like guys that I work with or, guys that I sponsor. It's like, I'd love to go to therapy, but I can't afford it. Like, what are the options around us in our community that are possible for folks that can't?
That can be very difficult because that's rough. I mean, insurance, getting through January, because it was my first January as a business owner and private practitioner. Many people, then their deductible starts over and it's like, well, now they have these big fees. There are people who do like sliding fee scales, and I'll refer to some of those people in the community. There are agencies that specifically do that for people, as well as kind of meet the needs of people that just aren't able to pay for services. Insurance is definitely a barrier for people sometimes. There are kind of private pay sliding fee people in the community. So referrals, and I always offer to refer people if that's necessary. But yeah, I mean, that's a big one, are people with really high copays, and it's definitely a factor. There are some resources available, but it's hard. It is hard. And
I mean, then that's like an overall, that's a, it's
not unique.
No,
it's not unique to mental health
with any healthcare.
No. Right. Any health
people trying to decide whether they want to, pay their electric bill or get their insulin that month is kind of a tricky thing.
And we're the only country that makes so many barriers to that. Like one of the, I saw this tweet and I will share it. It's like this guy, Ben Lee, he's a musician. He says, "Hi, I'm in Australia and saw a specialist this morning, gave them my Medicare card, and by 9 p.m. the rebate showed up in my bank account. Ooh, socialized medicine is terrifying. I have no freedom. Please help me."
Yeah, I saw that one too. Got a good chuckle out of it.
It's like, why?
Because, and I don't want to take away from our guests, but somebody's got to pay those CEO bonuses.
I mean,
I was talking to our mutual friend of ours, Joel, the other day, who were talking about insurance, and he got a notice from his insurance company that his premiums were going to go up 24% for the next year.
Oh my God!
So he just did a little research on the company, and they have their CEO. I'll give you one guess as to how much his pay was going up that year. 24%.
I was going to say somewhere at 20, 22, 25%, somewhere there.
So he called him and just talked to the insurance, the poor frontline insurance rep, just to say, I know this isn't your deal and you're trying to make a living and this happens way outside of you, but that as a coincidence stings a little bit.
Yeah. Yep. That's rough. And that's, corporatized healthcare.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's when CEO to end-line worker pay went from 20 to 1 on average in 1965 to almost 300 to 1 today.
Yeah, dude.
That's we're digressing. But that goes right back to Hollie's point of Like if you're struggling in general and could really use some help, well, tough shit.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing that I hear in your answer, Holly. It's like, well, there's not an easy, I don't have an easy answer for you because the system is rigged.
One thing with therapy though, that there are interns available that provide free services, which is awesome. And when I interned, that was a great thing that I got to do, so aside from kind of doing some research, and identifying different agencies in the community that are there, because they are out there, but to look for interns, because many agencies have those too. And a lot of times, if they're private practices, the therapy's free. You
could do that, or you could just get on Facebook.
Yeah, don't do that. Facebook is not therapy.
I'm just saying.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the sarcasm from Steve is
I know.
I love it. We can't get too clinical. We can't get too fact-based without Steve sort of giving us that lovely perspective of.
But there are people
dumpster fire that is America.
There are people on Facebook and Instagram. This is one of my things that bothers me. That aren't therapists, that are either trying to give therapeutic advice.
Oh yeah.
Or people that are licensed, people that are saying things that aren't right.
Yes.
And that can be difficult too, because I think about and sometimes I don't like to engage as the keyboard warrior or whatever, but
it's so good.
But sometimes I will say things if I see, and I'll tell you the biggest one and then I will stop talking about it. But
let's hear it.
That's the thing, when people say that there's a person out there that I've heard talk before at a workshop and that kind of thing. And that basically says that addiction is caused by trauma. So in some cases, yeah, okay. In all cases, no, you can't say all. And that's something it's so important for me, for people to know that struggle with addiction or in recovery or whatever, is that you don't have to have trauma to be an alcoholic. You don't have to have trauma to be an addict. It's not like, oh, go heal yourself. If you heal this, then you can drink like a normal person. No, that's not true. For some, it's primary. For some, it is like the manifestation of an allergy and problem in the mind and the body.
Yeah.
You can't help it. And there's nothing you can think, act, heal about yourself to change that. And that can kill a person. So that is the thing. Because I never want any person who just had this great life and really no trauma and they just happen to be alcoholic think, oh, well, I can go do this thing with this one therapist and then I'll be okay. Or, oh, well, I have this trauma I don't even know about, or something generational, which I do believe generational trauma exists. I work with many people who have experienced that. But for some people, they're just an alcoholic. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've definitely met some of those folks that,
I know.
All other aspects of their life, they're completely normal.
Yes.
But when it comes to drinking, they, throw their roommate's laptop out the window.
So, So for me, it's like, I just want people to know that can certainly be it for some people. Obviously for some, there is, trauma, using to cope, learning by family of origin that drinking and drug using is normal. All of those things. Yes, that all exists. Using to self-medicate. Totally. Maybe you used a bunch of cocaine and you can drink like a normal person. Cool. If you can, great. But for some people, that doesn't work.
Yeah. Wow. Yes. And I think that's an important thing to because there is, you can, you get on TikTok and you start following certain algorithms, it's going to tell you, basically it could sound just like a fire hose of therapeutic information, but that's not therapy. It's not therapeutic, really. It's not actually getting into one-on-one with a professional like yourself. It's a lot of, but that just becomes a circus of information anyway. And like you said, there's misinformation with the work that I do as a theater artist. You know what I mean? Like there's misinformation, and trying to be discerning.
Yes.
That's where like a spiritual life and a spiritual practice and, all of that stuff comes in. And maybe I'm segueing this conversation a little bit, but I'm curious, how do you take care of you?
Okay.
If your work is working with other people
That's
that may
question.
Have.
Yeah, how do you do that?
Okay.
Steve wants to know.
Okay, myself.
But first I need to say to everyone listening that there is a ton of misinformation out there, but there's also a lot of great information. And I think that there are a lot of great, therapists that I'm somewhat more private, I guess I'll say. I don't put a ton out. I'm not one of those people that's trying to build an Instagram following of 100,000 people and
Right.
share info that way.
But
But I
we
will
are.
say,
Yeah, the trying to be better with Joel and Steve podcast, certainly.
but I will say that there are people out there that do that and do it very well and do it very ethically. So I'm not discounting those people, because those people are really helping people. And then the other thing I want to say is, like, representation is so important to say, like, if you're not a licensed professional or whatever. But I will say there are a lot of wonderful healers out there that are not therapists, you know, that are other modalities of healing.
Yes.
And I totally respect and appreciate that and love a lot of those people too, that represent appropriately, just like I want to represent appropriately, you know. So I just wanted to shout out to those
people. That's a really great and awesome. I'm glad you mentioned that, because, like, you know, there's a time and a place for a licensed therapist, but there's also a time and a place for a body worker or a sound healer or
relevant
a yoga teacher or a meditation teacher or a pastor or
Joel, you're frozen. Joel froze. You know, I saw there he is. He's back.
Yeah, you guys froze up.
You froze up.
You froze up.
I saw just today. I want to give a shout out to VJ.
Oh yeah, VJ.
Hi VJ. Yeah, he had a really, you know, he had I guess he had post on Instagram today just saying, hey, available for sound healing, and he had a shot of his room with the bowls and the gong, and I just thought, God, that sounds nice.
You know, we have some VJ is amazing. He's in Kansas City. Sometimes he comes up here, but I have been in a sound healing with him. But there's also
Kirsten and I saw her, Joel, whoever the woman, what's her name? Kirsten and I went to Lincoln Yoga Center and saw her.
Jennifer, oh God, I'm going to screw her name up, so I'm not even going to try, but I will put it on the Instagram. We have gotten private sound healings from her, and it is remarkable. Yeah, you guys need to do that. So I'm glad you kind of tied all that up. I mean, who are some of the, could you name a couple of the accounts that you follow that you find to be legit?
I don't know. I'm probably not off the top of my head.
Send them to me and I'll
I will. I will do that. I will send them so you can share, because I know there are some definitely people locally even, and not even just Instagram, but people I know that are doing that work, you know. The things that you listed, and just that there are so many paths to healing, and that to work together and with other people to do that is that, like, obviously I love therapy. I love doing therapy. I'm a therapist. I appreciate, you know, ethics and appropriate representation. There are lots and lots of ways. There are lots of ways on that path. Some people don't need therapy. Some people get it somewhere else. Some people get therapy, but need some other things too. And it's all good. You know, I think there's so many great things out there that lead to healing.
I think it was, sorry, go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to say, I mean, I think most of the people that listen to this podcast are probably nodding their heads when I say this, but like, if you, what Hollie just said is, like, if you feel like you need help in whatever area, it's so important to just start talking about it. Because there's so many avenues for help, even as previously discussed. Maybe you can't go for whatever reason to see a licensed therapist, but there's so many avenues for help out there. You just have to kind of raise your hand.
Right.
And start talking about it, and to not feel like, oh, I can't do that, or I don't want to do that. I mean, that's a big one. Can't really help that. But to not feel like, oh, that's not available, because the thing you may be picturing that you want may not be immediately available, but there's so many avenues for help. You just have to reach out to whoever's available.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, I was thinking about, as you were talking, Steve, that you were one of the first people I knew in recovery, because you're my pal, that you were very open about seeing a professional as well. And I didn't think I could cross those streams for a few years, and you were very open about that. And I think that that's true. Like, having Hollie here to talk about her professional work, definitely important, but also to hear a friend say, yeah, I see a therapist. Like, I've tried to be more open about that. I've said that it was like before class, but I meant something about a student was like, Joel, you have some things to unpack. I'm like, nah, I'll do that with my therapist on Thursday. You know, I'm like, they're open. Like, you know, awesome. Like, I think it would be really nice to know that my teachers aren't trying to seek, you know, therapeutics for me. So like, I'm tell them, being open about it, I guess.
Yeah.
If you are benefiting from a mental health professional or other healing or all of the above, talk about it too.
Yeah, maybe don't wear that on a sandwich board at work.
Yeah,
Right.
maybe not.
But
I
in
just
the
did.
appropriate setting, obviously.
Yeah.
Well,
And some works you can do that at some works.
sure,
That's
right.
true. That's very true.
Well, like at my work, there are the people that need to know that I'm an alcoholic in recovery.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I was
right.
pretty open to that as soon as I felt like it was appropriate.
Mhm.
Just because I know what it was. It was when we started the pandemic, I wanted to host Zoom meetings
Mhm.
over the
Yeah,
noon hour.
Right.
And I had to, to have a reason,
Right.
for
Yeah.
booking the conference room or whatever. So I just told them, and they were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's great."
And that's one of
Yeah.
those ways to break the stigma, like, and Joel, like what you just shared, too. And because I mentioned, like social media, it's out there, celebrities, but that's it right there. It's like your
Yeah.
students look up to you, like you are a role model, and to know
Yep.
that, like, oh wow, this guy that I respect so much and does this cool stuff is doing this. Like that's how to do it, because then your students will be like, oh well, he's doing it, I could do it.
Well, I think it also calms them down because I'm pretty crazy. I mean, I know that word is a little
They're
hot.
sitting there thinking, like, don't worry about it. Professor's going to his
Right.
appointment on Thursday. It'll be better next week.
He says a lot of wild stuff, but he is seeking professional help, and we know he doesn't use drugs anymore. So
Right.
That's good.
yeah, but I think having you as a professional on this podcast, Holly, is just right on, because it's important to know. I mean, and that's the other thing too, is that's one of the great reasons why we started this podcast, is because we are, amazing people are around us all the time. You are an amazing person, and my wife is an amazing person.
Yes,
And to
is.
get to talk to, it's just like, talk to the people around you and be interested in what they're doing, because it's fascinating what you're doing. And I think it's really cool. And I'm really grateful to know that the work that you're doing is benefiting a large amount of people in our community, because, we need that,
Yes.
so it's awesome.
Definitely. Yes. And
Yeah.
it's cool. And I'm in like a Facebook group with local therapists, and there's a lot of just great work being done, which is really inspiring, that many of us do have full caseloads, and that's because people are reaching out and people do want to get better. And that's the other thing I'll tell all of your listeners, is that, like, if you're living, there's the hope for change, and that's it. Like sometimes people think that's it, or they're broken, or they went through this, or they're damaged goods, or I just can't get better. It can get better. It might not be perfect, but better is always possible.
I want to repeat what you just said, which is that if you're living, there's hope for change.
Yeah.
That kind of choked me up a little bit, because that's so true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like if you're sucking air.
Yes, change is possible for sure.
Yeah.
And
it may require some uncomfortable actions and work and commitment, but it's possible.
Yes. And sometimes
it's also too, I think about my spiritual practice, that because you're alive, there is change. Like there is change, and whatever you're
possible, it's gonna happen.
Yes.
It's gonna happen. And the times that I've felt the most stress, pain, suffering is when I've resisted whatever is changing. And a therapist, and recovery, and riding my bicycle, and listening to good music, and all the things. I don't know what piece of the puzzle makes the picture, so I'm going to put them all there. Like, that all helps me cope with that change that is inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Holly, we're the clock's ticking, so there's something that we need to cover, which is that you're a therapist and you help people with all sorts of issues.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You recently confronted one of your things that has been a thing for a long time.
Yes.
Let's talk about your issues, Holly. You didn't know this was
happening.
No, but I totally tangented away from your self-care question, Joel, because I had to say things to your listeners. But so I'll get back to that. And first I'll say, I noticed that during the pandemic too, just the need for that and self-care, and again, another buzzword, we see that a lot. It's not just bubble baths and whatever, but really about identifying like what we need. And for me, like I'm an extrovert, I love people. And I've noticed, I've been working from a home office through the pandemic. And then it's like Steve goes to work, Steve plays in a band, my kids go to school. It's like, so that hits me every couple of months, like, oh, I don't really see people like everyone else is doing. And so that has been kind of a need for me. Obviously, I get to spend time with my wonderful family.
You're like thinking, I need to get out there. And I'm like, that seems so nice.
I know. But it's interesting, everything's relative, right? Like when you can't do the stuff, I mean, sometimes when I have the opportunity to do the stuff, I do want to like stay at home. But when that's taken for all of us that need connection, it's like, I got to do that. So last year, the bike game started and I looked at that and I thought, I was like, that would be fun, but it's scary. I don't like fast things. I don't drive fast. I don't do any of that. I haven't been on a bike since I was 9.
I don't like fast things.
I know.
What are you doing with me?
Hey.
So then I found this
let's
bike.
not go there.
No. And I like found a picture of it.
Quick. That's quick, Steve. That's not short. Not.
Oh my God.
Never mind. Sorry, Holly.
Okay. Hey folks, this is our last episode.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it's been
It's been a
great.
great ride. I'm never talking to Joel again. Have a nice day.
Okay, I'll finish.
Sorry.
Okay.
You don't like fast things. You were scared of.
Yes. So, but then I saw this bike and I took the picture, I texted it to Kirsten and my friend Amber, and I'm like, I might get this bike. But I just didn't do it. But then, the winter passed and then this year came around and I saw it again. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to do that. Like I could tell just I needed, I wanted to be around my people again. And also like just the idea of doing something new. And I think maybe it was the pandemic, I don't know, but that idea of you got to do the stuff that scares you, and I'm a big proponent of that, obviously for people I work with. And I try to do that myself, but sometimes I don't. And being an anxious person that does have anxiety, I'll share that issue. That prevents some things from happening sometimes. And I think about how I encourage other people to like, sometimes you got to take the action, there's, you guys, obviously we know action. Yeah. So got the bike and then we went and rode around a parking lot. It was the first time I'd done that like forever, like did a couple laps. And then the first big ride was for your birthday celebration. And I know, cause I just got to do it. I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. So it's like 20 miles, whatever. So
yeah, you did it.
You were there. So you saw, it was like the joy, like I can't describe what that was like. And I've told Steve and Kirsten, like, I hope this doesn't wear off. Like, I don't want this to wear off. That, I was like, oh, I'm in a bike lane and riding downtown. And
that was so cool.
The idea that doing this thing that scares me, and doing it and loving it and like seeing.
You got to get over the hump.
Yes. But the world looks different on 2 wheels. And that is something I never would have known. And it's just been amazing. And I don't even know that I can put words to it.
No, I think
I'm really grateful. I'm filled with gratitude. It is. I mean, I've told Steve it's been life-changing for me. And
that's so to do that, because I know that like you've mentioned that in here and there, and I know that's like, riding or being near cars. I mean, that's all very real danger for sure. Yeah. But I remember distinctly, we were probably a couple miles in, and we were we are blessed in Lincoln to have so many cool trails. And I remember I slowed down to kind of hang with you and Kirsten, and you said something like, is the whole trip like this? And I was like, yeah, dude, we're on the trails, man. And you're like, oh, so we don't have to like ride on the street? I'm like, no, we're in Lincoln. There's tons of bike trails. And just the pure stoke on your face that made the whole trip for me, like that whole 20 miles. I'm like, man, it's like the world looks different from 2 wheels.
Yes.
And one other thing that I was riding with my last summer, because I got a better bicycle. I was riding with my old college roommate, and he and I have texted more since, but he came back to see his mom, and I was like, one of the things that's been cool with the group of people that we ride with, it's been like, we ride at night or we ride and go get ice cream. It feels like when I was, 13 years old, just riding around with my friends in the summer, and it's pure joy. Yeah. So I'm so glad that's really cool that like you worked through that.
Yes. And I feel like it's seeped out even, like it's with me during the day. Just that idea of, and everything Crossing streets, riding on, you know what I mean? Like things that sound great, going around like some construction. What else? I mean, just that random stuff of like you would just totally not even think about it. But for me, it's like every single thing is like, ooh, that was scary and you did it. That was scary and you did it. It's like now I just want to keep doing more. And
she got the bug.
I did, and I ordered the headlights, and I can go on some night rides. But
yes,
I'm still shocked that I love it so much, but I'm so amazingly grateful. Yeah,
I love a night ride. I love a night ride. That same route we took, which goes on the Jamaica North Trail here in Lincoln. That's a few miles just through Wilderness Park, and it's pitch dark, and everybody's headlights are on, and you can just hear the crunch of gravel on your tires. There's nothing like that in the middle of the summer, so I can't wait for you to join us. And that's really cool. You're riding through your fear there a little bit. Yeah, it's so great, and that it's bleeding out.
Oh my gosh, it is.
That's the point.
Yes, exactly. It's very cool. Very cool.
It's really
joyful. I'm just glad that we can go for bike rides.
Yeah, because it's cool that like now Steve and I have this additional thing we get to do together, which has been awesome.
Yeah, I've seen some photos. You guys have posted a lot of photos of you guys.
Oh, it's not on Instagram.
It didn't happen. So yeah.
You guys rode to Eagle and back, did you?
Yes.
Didn't you?
We did last weekend, and then we did just a quick trip out to Walton last night. Yeah. That was great. Nice. That's such a nice ride. It's just like a nice little hour. You just drive out right back. It's great.
Yeah. All right. Well, let us know when you want to make the trip to Beatrice. I'm going to do that ride here, I think.
Are you really down to Portland?
I want to do it.
That's a lot of miles. How many miles is that? Would that be like 60 miles round trip?
Round trip would be about 80.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
It's about a 3.5 hour ride down, 3.5 hour ride back.
All right.
Yeah. I think I'll probably be pretty tore up, but I think I can do it.
Yeah.
So, but you got to join us for a night ride because it always ends up at Zesto or Dairy Queen. So.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we are getting close to the end, but I want to make sure we ask the questions. And
you asked
Steve.
Your question.
All right.
Your question. You asked.
What are your all-time favorite bands?
Okay, my number one is The Cult. That's my number one all-time favorite band.
I know nothing about The Cult.
I don't.
So where does
there's the generation gap.
What's that? Oh gosh, it's hard to say. And
listen to Electric. It's the best AC/DC album ever.
No, different people would say different things. I like them all. Electric. I like Love. But I like Sonic Temple that has Sweet Soul Sister on it. But then there are some other kind of more. I love Ceremony. A lot of people don't like that one. I like their other stuff. There's one. I can't remember the name of the album, but their song Rise got me through a big time in my life. I have the word rise tattooed on my heel because
that's one.
Some of the lyrics of that song are up against the world and still you rise. And I'll tell you that when I named my business, The Cult has been on the soundtrack to my life. So literally started listening around 15 and still and through every single
Pearl
thing.
Jam's my band,
they've been there. And so because then it's my business. I can do what I want with it. So I really wanted that as a part of it. So they have a song called She Sells Sanctuary. So that is kind of where that came from, is that I wanted a nod to them.
Do you know that song, Joel?
I know. Really? I know. I've listened to maybe one half of a Cult song in my life.
Oh gosh. So
I love cults, but I need to listen to the Cult.
You got to. And sanctuary means also a place of refuge or safety. So perfect. But also just the fact that I could tie that in was kind of cool. So and then before the Cult, they were Death Cult, and before that they were Southern Death Cult. And there's some interesting stuff back there. God Zoo was one of my favorite ones from back in the early days. Good stuff. Ian Asbury has an album called Spirit Light Speed that's kind of cool.
Who is this?
It would be the singer.
The singer.
Oh, so you're talking about the Cult the way I would talk about Pearl Jam. You're like, well, then there's Eddie's solo stuff, and then there's Stone's solo stuff, and then.
But you might like that, so check that out. I like another big one for me, Miss Danzig. I know that's Danzig 2, favorite one.
All right.
Yeah, I'm the one. Long Way Back from Hell. Not as much. I like Danzig a lot. Those are the two. The Cult's the big one though. That's like my band. But I like a lot of different kinds of music. I like a lot of, I don't know, what else do I listen to aside from kids music?
Well, what a good the original question that I started asking guests is, what are you listening to right now?
Okay.
Like
I
what's tooting your hooter right now?
Oh boy. The cult's always on there, but also like lately, I listen to more Grateful Dead lately. Steve sends me songs. It comes in spurts.
You hang out at a barbershop long enough, you're bound to listen to the Grateful Dead.
I saw them in 1994, so I was, but not like this. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have the appreciation back then.
I was gonna say you went to a Grateful Dead concert.
That's true.
She just rolled her eyes, everybody. That just make that
well, I mean,
but I had the spark was there, but not like not like I've been exposed to them now. But that the thing I've been playing on YouTube since I saw it the other night was that show that
oh my god, Billy's birthday.
But
Billy's birthday, that was so good.
When with Billy Strings and the Jackaro is my favorite one. Oh my gosh.
Oh wow. So the Jackaro from Billy Crutzman's birthday.
It's great. Billy Strings is playing electric guitar.
It's so good, but I keep playing that on YouTube because I don't know if it's on Spotify or not. But look that up. I think it's in chunks, and that one comes on at like 17:20 or something.
Yeah, it's so
She's got the time signature down.
It's very good.
That's good.
And then what else have I been listening to? No, I go back just through old random playlists.
What's a guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure. Well, I like the hair bands, so there's that.
That's what I want you to talk
Warrant.
about.
Love Warrant. Oh, I'll tell you my Warrant. Oh, I love Warrant.
Warrant?
Cherry Pie.
Yes, Cherry Pie, but listen to the Bitter Pill. Okay. And listen, I mean the bitter pill, but also even Sometimes She Cries.
Okay.
And I saw them. I think I've told you this story too before, Joel, but I met him in 1998, and I got on the tour bus, and I was not yet sober at the time, so we were all drinking beer. Janie Lane was sober, and he was so awesome. And we went to the back of the bus. It was just me and him. He literally told me, "I'm leaving the door open so you're comfortable." He showed me pictures of his daughters. We talked about like relationships and stuff. Of course, I was not sober, so was then getting less sober as the evening went on. And I don't know what I, acted inappropriately or whatever. And so then, he said a very nice goodbye. We all got off the bus, and I then, he was sober, like he was trying. And then that was 98. I got sober in 2003. And I knew, I loved just knowing he was here in the world. And I thought I would make him someday. Like I literally thought when I see them play, I'm going to make amends to that person for being a crazy, party girl, whatever. That was not extremely respectful. And then he died of alcoholism.
Yeah.
And then I didn't get to do that. So, obviously I was pretty bummed, but so sad for him, and so sad for untreated alcoholism, and so sad for that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just to see someone that was trying, and obviously I met him for a night. Like who knows what the rest of his life was like, but just that idea that it'll get you, if
dude. And even surrounded by success.
Yeah.
That's
So that was my Warrant story. So they're very special to me, especially. I love it. I've seen him since, but Janie is, Nelson, still like them. I like, Faster Pussycat. My friend Kate, hi Kate, if you're listening, is my partner in crime for all my little hair band shows, and so we do that. And then 21 Pilots. I love 21 Pilots.
Oh, okay.
So LaDonna, if you're listening, you need to go see them in person. So I love AWOL Nation too. I don't know if you ever listened to AWOL Nation. Amazing live. So I've seen them a couple times, and I wanted to see them, and they were opening for 21 Pilots, and my girls were kind of into 21 Pilots, and I heard this one song, I'm like, yeah, that song's okay. So I went alone. It was really fun. It was my date with myself, and
nice.
They blew me away. Like I left that concert saying, I don't know what that yellow tape means, but I want to put it all over myself like all these people here. It was amazing.
I don't know what that means either.
I know, but I know I gotta look that up. But they were amazing. They blew me away. I will totally see them really close anytime they come. I'll get those good seats. And they are mental health advocates too. So that's the thing. A lot of their songs have talk about depression, talk about suicide, talk about it's okay to not be okay. So definitely, they're a good one to look into.
Wow. You just gave like a whole nother playlist for the Instagram. I'm very excited about that. I knew it. I'm like, we need to bump the numbers on our, we do have a Spotify playlist, the TTBB playlist. I will post about that, but Hollie just doubled our playlist, which I'm very stoked about, and definitely gave it some more hair, which is good.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say to our listeners that Hollie was pretty nervous about doing this, and I assured her that it would be just fine. And as you can see,
killed it.
And just fine.
Yes.
And that, I don't know, I'm a very lucky guy to be. So, I mean, I suppose we're peds in a pod, but it's the deadhead married the hair metal chick. And we're
it works.
All right. Yeah, it's we are, and you can stop me anytime you want, but I'd say that we're an example of not giving up,
right?
Because we've been together since 2003.
Yes.
And it hasn't always been great.
There's been a couple bumps.
There've been a couple bumps.
But the good thing is, again, just like with anything, the whole if you're alive, the change is possible. Like if you work at stuff, you get through it and you get to the other side. And it takes, like attention and intentionality and vulnerability. And then there you go. And I was thinking about that. I mean, really kind of just like recovery, like all of our relationships, my relationship with Steve, my relationship with my girls, my relationship with my family abortion, with my friends, like you don't stay sober on yesterday's AA, just like you don't stay drunk on yesterday's beer. Same with relationships.
Right.
And that's just an important.
Yeah. And it's and the whole idea of like life is change, and to make peace with that. It bleeds out into all things, into our work, into our spiritual life, and absolutely into our relationships, marriages, partnerships. Like to try to think that the relationship is going to be like it was 15 years ago, 10 years ago.
Right.
2 weeks ago.
We're way better today than we were 15 years ago.
Like the last couple
100%.
of years, we both like done work on ourselves and with each other. And there comes a time where it's like you either face some stuff and get it out there, or you don't. Yeah. And if you don't, then that's bad. And if you do, then it can be good.
What I was trying, I was sitting here thinking, wow, this woman's really cool.
Well, thanks.
I'd like to,
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's the thing about staying current with your partner. I mean, Kirsten's doing some amazing, cool stuff, and doing some really hard, like internal spiritual work too, that she talked about on the podcast. And it's like you don't stop. And this is maybe for all of our listeners, whether you have a best friend, a partner, a lover, a wife, a spouse, somebody around you, like see them. See them for what they're doing and take the time to really listen. And that is such a hard thing because, I'm just like, I'm in awe of my own partner, and the fact that like you guys can have that as well is really cool.
Well, it's so important. And this is something that I think we've really been open to. I mean, I'm thankful to the pandemic for, is like seeing each other as like, it's very easy, especially with kids, and that level of obligation is just a tool to get the job done, as opposed to this. I mean, you guys just heard Hollie talk. I mean, amazing.
Yeah.
And it's just nice to be able to do that. And that's something that we're trying to be a little bit more intentional about.
Yeah. It's interesting to see that. I mean, in a very short time, it goes away. Just like Joel, what you were mentioning about like the world's opening up again. We're going to be busier. We're not going to have all this, and really to keep that as a priority. And the thing is, like, it's possible, as we all know, because we keep lots of things that are important to us as priority. Like with recovery, like you do the things you got to do, and same kind of thing.
Well, we've seen that this year, because when everything was shut down, we just hung out as a family.
Right.
We didn't have to go anyplace. We didn't have to do anything because we couldn't go anyplace and we couldn't do anything. And so we played poker and we watched Grateful Dead videos and we cooked food.
Got chickens.
And we got chickens and we hung out with the chickens.
Yes.
And we baked stuff and just hung,
Yeah.
And then as soon as things started opening up a little bit again, then all of a sudden it's 4 nights a week.
Right.
running kids to stuff,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
collapsing.
Which is also really cool.
It is. I'm not complaining, but it's a
I
different
know, it's
dynamic.
different. Well, it is, but it's different.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know we're getting short on time, but I thought of another song for the playlist. Because another self-care thing I'm trying to do for myself is take guitar lessons. It's slow going because I'm busy, but
Oh wow.
so the thing I'm playing now is Tangled Up in Blue, the Jerry Garcia band version, because I like it better.
Oh, I just listened to that.
Did you?
So good.
It's so
Yes.
good. And the other thing Don't Think Twice, It's All Right is one that I always kind of try to play. And I want to say hi, Kara, to shout out to my twin sister who might be listening to this too. That was one that she taught me years and years ago. And I ask her to send it to me like all the time because I always forget the chords. But the version that's good is Joan Baez with the Indigo Girls.
Yeah.
So please, it has to be that, and I might have to send you the actual one. But that one.
Joan Baez and the Indigo Girls, and it is great.
Doing what song? I totally forgot.
Don't think twice, it's all right.
Oh, don't think twice. It's all right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the other thing I want to say is you guys are awesome people too, Joel and Steve.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is really cool. And one day Steve said, we're going to start a podcast. And I was like, okay.
No, you said, oh, Jesus. God.
Whatever. Okay.
There was some trepidation.
But not really. Cause like, that's cool. But it's really neat. And I'm so glad I got to be on this side of it, and just to see that idea of trying to be better and putting some good out there into the world and talking to people of all varieties, and it's neat. So thank you.
Who would you like to have on here? That we haven't.
I don't know, because I said a couple of people. I think Phil Bircher.
Oh God, that'd be cool.
Oh, yep.
Lance Schutbach.
Yes. He's a
Okay.
physician in town. Super cool dude.
Right
We met him
on.
at a Randy Carlisle concert, and I'm just.
Sarah Raspy. Sarah, if you're listening. Do you know
Oh, yeah.
Sarah from Lotus House of Yoga? Is she still alive?
Oh, yeah.
Who is now has switched kind of modalities. She does a lot of community work too, but also as a she takes care of her twin sister who had a brain injury.
Oh wow.
And
I
so
didn't
dealing
know
with
that.
that. Yep. She'd be a good one.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow. Thank you for the recommendations.
But
And-
yeah, just thinking of and
That's
sorry,
the thing.
sorry people I didn't mention. But
There's so many
There's so
awesome
many people.
people in our little town.
Mhm.
Totally.
that really,
in our
really need-
circle of just the people, just think about the people that you know.
Yep.
Like pick 10 people that you know. They're all doing very interesting, cool things.
Yeah,
If you give, yeah. Wow, Holly.
Thank you.
That's the thing. Like when Kirsten says this, she said this. She gave good feedback, and she is not one to just dish that out for no reason. You know what I mean? So to hear that from you, to hear that from Kirsten, from our wives, our partners, it means a great deal. Aside from all that, you are an incredible professional. Thank you for the work that you're doing in the community. Thank you for sharing vulnerably about the work that you're doing. And thank you for being an advocate for mental health in all kinds of ways, because Lord knows we need it. And
for supporting the new merch arm of the podcast. We really
oh yeah, Holly is the first one to order the mugs. We should probably order some more mugs. Thank
All
you so
right.
much, Holly.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Joel. Thank you.
Rock.
This was really fun.
Okay. Bye.
Come down off your throne and leave your body alone. Somebody's got to change. You are the reason I've been waiting so long. Somebody You know you